Chinese state-sponsored threat actors were likely behind the hijacking of Notepad++ update traffic last year that lasted for almost half a year. A statement from the hosting provider for the update feature explains that the logs indicate that the hacker compromised the server with Notepad++ update application. External security experts helping with the investigation found that the attack started in June of 2025. I guess for anyone who doesn't use Windows, Notepad++ is basically an advanced version of Notepad that has a lot of the features that you would expect in advanced note-taking applications like syntax highlighting and such. So in December, Notepad++ released version 8.8.9, which addressed a security weakness in its WinGUP update tool, after multiple researchers reported the updater would receive malicious packages instead of legitimate ones. This is kind of a pretty concerning story, especially because it's such a popular piece of software. A lot of people on Windows that are editing text files will be using this software.
One thing to note in the article is it does mention that this attack was very targeted. The attackers very likely only targeted specific users of Notepad++. There's some links. They talk about this group called Rapid7 that did research on this, and they released an analysis, a technical analysis of the malware, and they do include how to check and see if you were compromised, if you are worried that you may be impacted by this. First of all, go ahead and update to the latest one, because hopefully that should fix it and close off access.
You know, open source tools are just as vulnerable to being exploited by these sort of things as closed source ones. It's important to use tools that have been independently verified. So if a security researcher had done an audit on this piece of software, for example, I think it would have been pretty obvious that this was a mistake in the update process. With privacy guides, a lot of times we require independent verification by security researchers or like a security firm such as like Cure53 or other ones. That is something you can do to try and mitigate some of these concerns. Things get missed. Not every single piece of software is infallible.
I do want to point out that audits are a snapshot of code at a specific point in time. It's entirely possible that Notepad++ could have been audited in May, and then this happened like the following month, and there's really nothing to protect against that. Another advantage of audits is that they tend to show that an organization is really serious about their security and securing their supply chain and stuff like that. Audits are also really expensive. So just because a company doesn't get an audit doesn't mean that they're not safe or they're not taking it seriously, especially if it's like a really hobbyist project. For those organizations that do have that kind of money, like Proton, Mullvad, Signal, when they bring in auditors and have them look at their code, it's a really good sign because it means that they're probably have like a culture of security, and it's less likely for bad things to happen.